The Teen Titans were created by Bob Haney and Bruno Premiani in 1964 and had their first appearance in Batman Brave and the Bold number 54, as seen in this omnibus. This version of the team would be made entirely of sidekicks. Yes, there were more than just Robin back in the day. They started with Kid Flash, Aqualad, and Robin, but would expand to include Wonder Girl and Speedy. This series continued regularly until it ended in February of 1978, having gone through the Bronze Age as well. The series was then later rebooted by Marv Wolfman and the late great George Perez in 1980 as The New Teen Titans. This is mostly the team that would be used in the 2003 show, but it also includes Wonder Girl and Kid Flash as seen on the cover. As I was reading this series originally, I was wondering where did the other characters from this run that was the inspiration for this version of the Titans go? Kid Flash was one of the only former sidekicks left to be still part of the Titans when it was rebooted. It was basically just him and Robin. Wonder Girl was... nope! Not going into it. There's a lot of the history on her character and how she's not actually Wonder Woman's sidekick. I'm not gonna get into it. Google it. As to why they weren't included in this show, while I was researching this, I found a link to an article on the Wayback Machine where the show's producer, Sam Register, said this about some of the characters that weren't included. But Wonder Girl and Superboy were sort of out of the picture because those are different licenses within DC Comics. It all comes back to licenses, especially with comic book adaptations. Isn't that right, Spider-Man? Before we get into the actual bulk of the review of this season, I want to take a second to talk about what this review is not. It is not a comparison with Teen Titans Go. I know when that show came out, fans of this show hated it. It was too childish, it was taking this really great show and making a mockery of it type of thing. I don't know if they still hate it. All I will say is Teen Titans Go has gone on for much longer than this series did. So it definitely has its place, but I really can't say more than that because I've never seen it. In fact, the only thing I have seen of Teen Titans Go is this clip from Teen Titans Go to the Movies.
Stan Lee!
I'm back. I don't care if it's a DC movie. I love cameos.
And I'm sure, in the meantime between when this series happened and now, nothing of note has happened with any of the actors that has caused me to put disclaimers. Oh, hi, Greg Sipes, who was fired for having Parkinson's. And hi, Tara Strong, who's a Zionist, apparently. Great! I'll just mention that here and then move on, because I want to talk about this show. So, no, we're not talking about Teen Titans Go, and I'm not talking anymore about the actors. What I want to do is take this series on its own terms and ask, is this actually good? Or were we just kids? And also maybe just have a fun time revisiting something from my childhood. Before we get into the episodes themselves, let's talk about the adaptation of these comics, specifically the character designs and how they look different from the George Perez drawn characters. These characters do look very different from what they did in the comics, and this might be because this show was my first exposure to the team, but I prefer their looks in the show. Let's get to specifics. Robin, Beast Boy, and Raven are mostly just a more stylized version of their comic counterparts, with the exception of Raven's hair being just a bit shorter. But that is slightly harder to tell because Raven has her hood up most of the time in the comics and the show. Now, onto the major differences. Let's start with Cyborg. There is so much change here, and I am so happy for it. I just love how well the Cyborg components are integrated in a way that doesn't change his silhouette. He is still shaped like a human while being different from a human. I love this look. And based on looking at more modern Cyborg takes, some of his look from the comics nowadays seem to be taken from this show, even though they did lose the blue look, which I really like, but I get that they have to be different. Then there is Starfire. She is one of the characters with the most change from her comic counterpart, the most obvious piece of which is her hair. Comics Starfire is definitely a product of the 80s, and TV show Starfire has her hair that is a product of the early aughts. And I'm just going to prefer that because that's when I grew up. But her outfit is the best improvement here. It looks like modern clothes of the early aughts, that, yes, still keeps to her roots in comic history of female character must be scantily clad, while also having her feel like a teenager. What I mean by that is, the way she is showing skin in this feels like a woman was involved, rather than being what lots of comics have of being accused of being there purely for male pleasure. I almost forgot to mention the theme song. The theme song is great. It's one of those tunes that just stays in your head all the time super easily. And I just love all the graphics in it, how it lets you get moments to focus on each of the Titans, and the lyrics are great, the singing is great. I just love everything about this. I don't know what else to say other than the theme song is great. Without further ado, let's talk about the episodes. And we'll start with the first episode, Divide and Conquer. Yes, I'm going with DVD order. We are very quickly introduced to the Teen Titans as the villain Cinderblock enters a prison facility, and all 5 of them arrive and essentially introduce themselves as a threat to Cinderblock and start battling him. I think this works really well for the cold open, especially because they're superheroes. Their thing is, they defend a city from villain attacks, and you don't necessarily need an introduction for how the team formed. There are lots of modern comic adaptations that spend so much time introducing us to the status quo, we don't get as much time to enjoy the status quo. So I really like that we just start with the characters established. The opening fight works really well, because you feel like it's a team of individuals rather than a perfectly planned out fight. They include moments here and there where they accidentally take each other out in this. It does show them being early on in their time as a team, which is really all you need to get that across. You don't need to show how they form, just that they're early on. During the battle, Cinderblock is able to get away and free someone trapped in a tube of water. So he just takes the entire tube, and you see the glass bend and as it pops through the floor. And that bit just really cements the artistic style and the physics of the world, where it's, real and solid, while also being just a little stretchy in terms of going cartoony, which I think is a really good way for reality to be in a comic book superhero show. After the battle is when the real distinctness of this show and how it stands out visually from the rest of the DC animated shows really stands out, and it's when they realize Cinderblock got away. Cyborg and Robin then fight over their interfering with each other, and the entire scene shifts into a pseudo-anime style. This style is used at moments of heightened emotion, and it causes the physics of everything to bend slightly, and everything becomes more stretchy and cutesy, with gradient backgrounds and weird inferences on foreheads. I don't know what those are called. And these things work really well. It's like they've turned all the characters slightly into kids, where the emotions can be a lot more raw and visible, and this helps to heighten the scenes by giving a sort of excuse for showing these emotions more clearly on characters who might not necessarily show them in that way. At the end of the fight, Cyborg quits the team.
I quit!
Well, that was a great establishment for the team. I'm so glad I spent time complimenting them for having the team established at the start of the show. We then get a scene introducing our season-long villain, and it has been years since I have watched this show, but the second I saw those gears floating around, I knew it was Slade's lair. Showing Slade in shadow, even though he's ultimately in a masked costume, is a really great setup for him as a villain. It's just an excellent amount of drama. Also, fun fact, if you've only seen the show, that's not his comic book name. Well, technically it is. Let me explain. The real name of the character in the comics is Slade Wilson, but his supervillain name in the comics is Deathstroke the Terminator. I'm guessing that licensing problems with the Terminator movies are not the only reason that the show had to change his name. We then get an excellent melodramatic moment where the sleeping person from the tube is awakened, and then he gets terrified at the fact that he's awake, and terrified at the idea of what he is going to become as a result.
I'm awake? I should never be awake! I'm only human when I'm sleeping!
I did not remember much of this character, but this moment where he only gets a few sentences of dialogue works really well, and you get his heartbreak at what is going to happen, and he is able to fully convey the horror of knowing that being awake means you will transform into a monster named Plasmus. Yeah, I seamlessly integrated the character name there. Perfectly done. The remaining Titans then head back to their tower, and we get some really good character moments from all of them, showing their sadness at Cyborg quitting. They are then interrupted by an alarm, and they go and find Plasmus attacking and eating nuclear waste. The waste makes him grow bigger. I guess that's how nuclear waste works. We then get a great battle with Plasmus where he gets split into multiple people and they each attack one of the Titans. And I am so scared that there's now multiple copies of this dude that's going to exist when Plasmus is knocked out. But then Cyborg shows up again. I really wish this episode was longer so that they could have taken the time to explain why he showed up again, because that's kind of important. But you could assume he realized quitting was an overreaction, but I am genuinely surprised they didn't really say anything directly. Cyborg and Robin are then able to team up and do their move properly this time and defeat Plasmus, and he falls asleep instantly. Thank goodness it's just one of him. Oh my word, that would have been bad. But Robin, instead of celebrating the victory, thinks about Cinderblock's plan of freeing Plasmus and realizing Cinderblock is not likely to have come up with this idea of using Plasmus to distract them from something else. But he's unsure of who would be doing this. He's just assuming there must be someone behind this. Overall, this is a great pilot. It establishes the team and lots of their dynamic and sets up Slade as the season's overarching villain. Episode 2, Sisters. After the big introduction to the team with a slight focus on Cyborg and Robin, the season is going to take time to give a focus episode to each of the characters, and this one is about Starfire. And from the episode title, we're going to meet her sister. After a fun opening scene where the Titans take down a floating squid that takes Starfire, they return to Titan's tower to find the episode's namesake. Starfire's sister, Darkfire, yes, the opposite of a star is dark. Okay, now that I'm sitting here recording this, that does make slight sense, like in a space cosmic sense that does, but it is not immediately obvious. It feels crazy, but it is comic accurate. Starfire's sister, Blackfire, looks almost exactly like Starfire, except her outfit is black and purple instead of red and green. It also took me a while to notice, but she is played by Hynden Walsh, who plays Starfire. And it actually took me a while to notice this while watching the episode, so it must be a really good performance to have two characters played by the same person talking to each other on occasion, and it takes me most of the episode to notice. But it is at this point that the main plot of the episode takes place, as Starfire sees all of the Titans become enthralled by Darkfire, and Starfire realizes that Blackfire has not changed. That's literally what she says.
I see you have not changed either.
Which is fascinating. Later, we see Starfire trying to maintain her friendships with the rest of the Titans. She goes to see Raven and offers to go see her favorite depressing bar, and it's said in the most sweet way possible, which is so beautiful. Someone that chipper and lighthearted and delightful being willing to go somewhere that is so outside her comfort zone. Unfortunately, Blackfire already took Raven to that bar and read her own, quote, surprisingly dark poetry.
Your sister's poetry is surprisingly dark.
Afterwards, Starfire tries to set up a movie night, but of course, Blackfire shows up and takes them to a party, where she is dressed in Starfire's outfit because, after stealing her friends, why not steal her outfit too? Sure. It was while watching this scene at the party that I realized Starfire is autistic coded. I mean, every alien character ever amongst humans trying to understand Earth customs is automatically autistic coded, but it was when watching this party scene that I felt so much of it in my bones. It's the scene where two partygoers ask Starfire if she's digging the party, and she responds,
I did not know we were supposed to bring shovels.
And everyone responds by laughing, and she literally shrinks into the floor. This is what I mean by these stretchy scenes really enhance the emotions. This is literally what you feel when you have done something like this. Starfire, I know you're a fictional character and this scene is from 20 years ago, but I just want to give you a hug. While on the roof talking with Robin, Starfire fakes being okay by saying,
The pounding music and blinding lights are quite enjoyable.
yeah, those would bother me too. Anyway, more copies of the squid from the beginning of the episode show up and attack Starfire. Blackfire is able to quickly take them all out, and the Titans offer to have her join the Titans, and Starfire is shocked and horrified. Back at the tower, Starfire has packed her bags. And I just want to say, if you are not someone who regularly gets ignored in friend groups, especially when someone newer and more fun shows up, I'm glad you don't understand why she does this. Robin catches her before she can leave, and before they can have a conversation, the aliens controlling the squid show up and kidnap Starfire. Robin, being the son of Batman, has attached himself to the bottom of the alien ship and been carried along. After crashing the ship, the aliens present themselves and reveal themselves to be space cops.
Empire, you are all under arrest.
After deducing the person they are actually after is Blackfire, Starfire, fueled by rage, goes over to attack Blackfire, who has changed back into her own clothes, thank you so much, and is trying to get away. And for all her faults, Blackfire admits to what she did when Starfire accuses her of being a thief and leaving her to take the fall.
You're going to let me take your place in jail. Oh, well, yeah.
They then start in battle, and Starfire raises up a big attack when the space police capture Blackfire. This really feels like it was done for time. If the episode was longer, I'm sure Starfire would have done more. Starfire then shows herself to be too pure for this world at the end, where she says,
Although you did betray and attack me, it was still very nice to see you.
Then Blackfire responds interestingly.
I will get out of jail, little sister, and I will get even.
Which is fascinating. It's a fascinating thing to say. Like, she's the one who did 100% of the wrong here. Yet she seems to be upset that Starfire was upset that Blackfire set her up to go to prison. And assumes attacking Starfire again will make up for Starfire getting herself out of the situation. What is wrong with you? Afterwards, while talking with Robin, Starfire talks about how she's glad everything was discovered before she got replaced by her sister. Robin then assures her that her sister could never take her place.
But she could never take your place. No one could ever take your place.
Robin, you're a good man. Take care of her when you two eventually get in a relationship. I'm sure that happens at some point during the show. Episode 3, Final Exam. This is the episode that was released first and is the first on IMDb. This is not a great opening episode to the show, and this is why I decided to go with DVD order. Yeah, I'm glad that these were switched. First episode's better. I love the ultra elegant music at the start of this and all the B imagery. Their name is just an acronym for Hive, so they just choose to really commit to the B imagery. But the elegant music is honestly just perfect for villains like that. Like, it comes across as so pretentious. Yes, we are the perfect peregrine of eloquence. Now we're going to kill everyone. Slade is reviewing the footage of them in training, and he shows himself to be a very intelligent villain by recognizing the difference between skill in a training arena and skill in the real world. and he sets them a final exam of destroying the Teen Titans, which is kind of brilliant on his part, considering he doesn't actually have to hire them to get what he wants. He also will know if these people are good enough to be worth his time. Yeah, he's just a good villain. To sum up this episode, Hive very quickly takes down the Titans before they take over Titan's Tower, and this is done in a way that for some reason really stayed in my memory as a kid. Like, when I was watching this, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna remember how they turned the T into an H for Hive. This stuck out to me for some reason. Like, the entire sequence of them inside of Titan's Tower just feels so violating because they're going through all their personal effects. It's... I can't even imagine that happening to me. For some reason, that just really sticks out. But the Titans are able to take back over their base and send Hive running. But at the end of the episode, one of the three attackers named Gizmo gives away the name Slade, which lets Robin realize there is someone they're working for and only gets a name, which is both a lot and nothing. And then immediately after Robin learns this, we as an audience learn this is what Slade wanted. He knew that Hive couldn't permanently defeat the Titans. He just wanted the Titans to be threatened and learn his name, which just proves he really enjoys playing with them. The only real problem with this episode is it doesn't do any work to enhance a character, and I don't know how Robin comes back. Like, he just reappears after falling into a hole in the ground. But other than that, it's a fine episode. Like I said, parts of this really stuck in the memory, and that's the important thing. Episode 4, Forces of Nature. We start with Beast Boy's focus episode. The villains in this one are a perfect counter to Beast Boy. Not based on his animal shape-shifting powers, but they're more a counter to his personality, which is the superior storytelling point. We start with Beast Boy setting up a prank for Cyborg using...
I give you the Beast Boy Instalute 9000.
That is a joke I did not see as a kid. Moving on. Starfire's reaction to being caught in the crossfire of Beast Boy and Cyborg's pranks is, if anything, measured.
You are a floor bag barbler now.
It's after this we then get Beast Boy's big character flaw, that he does not know how to just take responsibility for what he has done and apologize.
Guys, can anybody take a joke?
We then get to see our episode's villains, Thunder and Lightning. They are great villains. They aren't out to cause harm, they're just there to have fun. And they don't care about the consequences of that fun. While battling with the Titans, Thunder refuses to attack Beast Boy while he's down because it's unsporting.
Because it is not sporting to attack an unready opponent.
And this just helps to really round them out as characters by having them be fun, but fair. Beast Boy is easily able to call out Thunder and Lightning for having fun that's causing unintentional destruction, and it's interesting that he has no awareness of the fact that he has the exact same problem.
I'm guessing you're still mad?
After escaping the Titans, Thunder and Lightning go somewhere else, and Thunder knocks over a bunch of the domino-like structures. And I do love the villain dynamic of one person whose heart is really into it and focused on not caring about others' pain, and the person who is starting to realize that their fun might not be the best. Beast Boy and Starfire go afterwards to investigate, and rather than saying he's sorry, Beast Boy turns into a cat with giant eyes, believing she can't say no to that face. But Starfire does not forgive him. Good on you, Starfire. It is sad that what it takes for Beast Boy to tell her he's sorry is for him to think he has caused her even more harm, or that she could possibly be dead. This happens when a structure falls on her, and even after he finds her unharmed, he's still able to apologize, which is good. Starfire then hugs the cat version of him.
I am glad you are unharmed as well.
We then see Thunder and Lightning finding a weird Japanese man with one eye offering them more fun. Gee, I wonder if it's Slade. There is something profound about the people who are just wanting to have mindless fun and amuse themselves and purposefully ignoring the idea of anything that they are doing causing harm being used by someone who very much wants to cause a lot of harm and using these people's amusement for their own ends, as we see Slade doing here. Beast Boy once again talks with Thunder.
But you want to destroy homes and innocent lives?
No.
Then what are you fighting for?
And this finally gets through. Thunder then starts to battle with Lightning, and Thunder breaks through to Lightning by simply asking him,
Tell me, brother, are we still having fun?
Thunder's argument isn't that the Titans use their power for good while we use ours for evil. He's saying our mindless fun is causing harm, and we need to do something about that. Nothing's wrong with fun. Purposeful ignorance of harm is not good. And Lightning finally understands. Thunder and Lightning are able to combine their abilities in order to cause rain, which stops the fire creature that they created under the trickery of Slade. At the end, I always found it interesting that Slade's disguise cracks, revealing a mask underneath. How did his mouth move? It's so weird. That's an odd choice. But they do play it fairly dramatically, so it mostly works, but ugh. But yeah, great episode. Episode 5, The Sum of His Parts. When I saw this title, I knew this was going to be the Cyborg-focused episode. It's so obvious. That is the perfect title for an episode talking about a cyborg. We start with the Titans at a barbecue in the park. Cyborg is making an entire rack of ribs just for himself, which is amazing. We then see Starfire drinking mustard like it's an actual drink?
Is there more?
I'm envious of her ability to not care what other people think. Cyborg then has them start a game of football. My favorite part of this is Raven. It's clear she does not care for the sport, so she's saying, I'll be referee so that she can still be included, and everyone's okay with that. It's good. Then Cyborg's battery dies. The color fading from his components works really well. Cyborg quickly comes back online with 30 minutes of backup power. Cyborg then has an amazing comment about needing to change his battery every so often.
Just a natural part of being unnatural.
That's a quote I feel like we should talk about it more with this show. It's just good. While Cyborg is returning to Titan's Tower, the Great Mumbo shows up, who has robin eyes for some reason. And unlike the villains we have seen so far, he is actually original to this series. Cyborg, feeling a need to stay part of the Titans, joins in the battle, which is such an interesting character point. Like, he would literally rather have 4 car batteries strapped on his back than miss out on a single battle. But then Mumbo, of course, takes off Cyborg's battery pack, and Cyborg has just 5 seconds of power. He's then dumped into a dump truck, which Mumbo drives away. Except we're able to see Cyborg didn't fall in the truck, he fell in a hole in the ground. I'm getting the feeling, whatever city they're in needs to do something about their massive holes in the ground. Robin fell in one, and now Cyborg. You need to do something about that. We then see Cyborg meeting a character called Fix-It, who has replaced Cyborg's battery and charged it. Fix-It tells Cyborg he needs to do more repairs to him, and there's something about the calm, slightly detached, yet still caring demeanor that comes across as very threatening.
I am Fix-It. Things come to me broken. I make repairs.
Now, it feels like a good point to say that Fix-It and Mumbo are both voiced by Tom Kinney, and he gives 2 excellent performances. Fix-It is genuinely really creepy. I did not think SpongeBob could do that. Also, I feel like Fix-It took some visual inspiration from DC Comics character the Monitor in the way that the wires are on his head. Once Fix-It shows the parts that need to be replaced on Cyborg, according to him, it plays truly horrifically. You see, the pieces that are going to be replaced on Cyborg are the flesh parts, making Cyborg a robot, not a cyborg, and Fix-It's cold demeanor is again truly terrifying.
Such thoughts come from your imperfect biological components.
The contrasting of these two plot lines of the episode, with the horror story playing out with Cyborg and the over-the-top whimsy of the great Mumbo that the rest of the Titans are dealing with, really balance out and are only slightly jarring. The Titans are then able to quickly stop Mumbo and find he doesn't actually have Cyborg. They then go to the junkyard where they last saw him and are able to find his battery pack. Back with Cyborg, Fix-It is able to download the memories from Cyborg to preserve them, and based on those, all the robots in the room shut down, and when he wakes up, Fix-It is reformed. Yeah, the ending's a bit crap, but the build-up was nice. My only real complaint with this episode is I don't think it was a great episode to round out Cyborg. Sure, it focuses on him and has some elements about disability that are done pretty well, but I don't feel like it's talking about Cyborg as a character, you know? But it is a really well done horror story on top of all that. Hi, Future Jackson here in the editing room, and I just wanted to say I was reviewing the edit for this, and I got to the end of the sum of his parts, and I realized I did not analyze this episode well. There were some parts of this that I cut out, and I think cutting out the bit with Cyborg meeting with the kid with the prosthetic arm from the beginning of the episode that relates to Cyborg, saying that both of them are the same, and especially my analysis concerning Cyborg deciding to wear the 4 car batteries instead of just missing out on one battle, completely missed the entire point. And this goes back to the line that in the original analysis I said that I really liked. Cyborg's comment of it being a natural part of being unnatural. This line points to this whole episode being a much better Cyborg-focused episode than I had initially realized, and I couldn't let this video finish without correcting that. The reality is that Cyborg is disabled. It does come across differently from what non-physically disabled people would think of, especially because Cyborg has a normal silhouette. He functions pretty normally, but the thing with that scene I skipped over with the kid with the prosthetic arm that he meets is there to draw attention to the fact that Cyborg is disabled. And the other piece is his battery running out at all. That battery running out should not happen to him. He shouldn't have things like this happen to him. He shouldn't have to miss out on a battle. If it wasn't for him needing to change the battery, he would have been fine. He could have just gone to that battle and done things normally. In fact, the battle against Mumbo would have likely gone very differently if Cyborg had not run out of power. And the really good horror story that I complimented with Fix-It, that's about disability too. I'm honestly not entirely sure if I am knowledgeable enough on physical disability to fully comment on this, but here's what I have for now after thinking about this for a few more weeks from filming. That sequence honestly just looks like it is closest to Fix-It just seeing Cyborg for his physical disability and not seeing the human side of him. That's the part Fix-It is trying to remove so that Cyborg is all disabled. Again, I skipped, and another piece that I skipped over during the first analysis was the thing that caused Fix-It to change. I still say that this sequence was a bit rushed because the episode just didn't have enough time for this, but the thing that caused him to change was seeing the memory of the kid with the prosthetic arm. And Fix-It was able to see that, yes, this kid was disabled, but he was also a kid, a baseball player. He was just a very normal person, and not just viewed as his disability. And that is the thing that gets through to Fix-It and to stopping what he is doing to Cyborg. I am sorry that I did not give this the proper analysis that it should have had. But I will say, reviewing my final analysis again, I do still agree with parts of that. It's mainly about how this episode is not a Cyborg episode in the way that, take Beast Boy's episode or Starfire's episode, which is about their personalities. This is not about Cyborg's personality. Except now I'm realizing that's on purpose. Because Fix-It is only seeing Cyborg's disability, so the episode is really about the disability. And yeah, I don't know why I didn't fully see that and digest that in the way that I should have. Back to the review. Episode 6, Nevermore. For Raven's focus episode, we start mid-battle against Dr. Light. The battle is going really well until Dr. Light says something that really gets under Raven's skin, so her eyes turn red, her cape turns into a giant monster that swallows Dr. Light, and it's clear her personality has shifted just a little, a lot.
Afraid of the dark?
The Titans are able to shake her out of it, but Dr. Light is traumatized by the experience. Raven explains nothing and simply leaves, leading to our theme song. This episode features the first appearance of the Japanese theme song, which I had read somewhere was used for the less serious episodes, which is an interesting point. I genuinely don't know if I'd noticed that as a kid, but I do like the idea of it, which works really well most of the time. Unfortunately, whoever was in charge of that got it wrong here. This is an episode that literally, and I mean literally, dives into Raven's psyche. That's not less serious or comedic or whatever. Back at Titan's Tower, Raven works to keep herself alone and is very vocal about it. I should note, this is the first time Raven has shown a ton of emotions in the whole season. She is very flat and measured in what she says generally, and it's during these brief moments of emotion that her eyes turn red. And this doesn't feel like it's based on the shifting animation styles like has been present through all the episodes. This feels like her eyes are genuinely turning red. Beast Boy is joined by Cyborg, who go to Raven's room to apologize for antagonizing her earlier, and they accidentally knock her door down, and they decide to look around and find a mirror. 4 red eyes appear on the mirror, and then suck them through some sort of tunnel inside of the mirror. While they explore this strange new land, they find a pink-caped Happy Raven, and they go through to a new area where Happy Raven admits she's always found BB to be very funny and openly laughs at his jokes rather than not responding to them, which is interesting. In the real world, Raven is starting to reflect the laughter of her pink self when Robin tells her that the door to her room has been knocked down. Upon returning to her room, Raven is shocked and scared to see that the mirror has been moved. Beast Boy and Cyborg then find a new Raven, Scared Raven, who is in gray, as they try to make their way through a maze to another door. Scared Raven offers to take them through, but says they won't like her anymore after they get to their destination, and she says that she's already convinced Beast Boy doesn't like her.
He already doesn't like me.
At the end of the maze, they find 2 statues, one happy and one sad, like the drama masks seen in Raven's room. Except both of them have the scary 4 eyes. They then fuse into one being and get swords. Scared Raven then informs them,
Told you you wouldn't like me when we got here.
and then disappears. We then get a cutaway, a very important cutaway, assuring us Starfire and Robin are definitely in this episode. It's just to show us that they're narratively not in the rest of the episode, by Robin assuring Starfire Raven wants to be left alone and that they are respecting her request which is nice. Then a green-caped raven shows up. This one seems to get thrills and joy out of battle. This raven is happy to help battle and destroy the statue, and does so single-handedly. After Beast Boy loses his mind over
Your deal!
and why is she acting so differently, the other two ravens then show up and say, at the same time,
I'm Raven.
it's at this point that original Raven shows up, and she tells them,
The mirror you found is for meditation. It's a portal into my mind, not a toy!
she is quite angry at them, and deservedly so. She then tells them that they have to leave, that during that battle with Dr. Light, something got loose, something that could be a danger to them here. We then see an unnamed person, but if you know from the comics or from later in the series, it's Trigon. In the episode credits, he's credited as Trigon, so I'll call him Trigon. When he shows up, Raven says,
Let's just say I have issues with my father.
yeah, that's all the explanation you get for Trigon here. Which, yeah, that works as setup for the rest of the series, but in the moment just leaves so many questions. Raven then chooses to face Trigon alone, and tells Beast Boy and Cyborg to get out, that it's her thing to deal with. They refuse to leave and help out where they can. As the battle continues, Cyborg and Beast Boy suggest to bring her other selves from this realm to help defeat Trigon. And there's this beautiful beat where she smiles a little as she does realize they do like her and want to help her. Raven then brings out all the aspects of herself, including ones we haven't seen yet in the episode, and they all fuse to become a white outfitted Raven. We then see that the fused Raven is able to defeat Trigon and turn him into a red-caped Raven, who is then reabsorbed into the unified Raven. I love the narrative of that motion. It's not talked about, it's just shown, and leaves the viewer to conclude what it means. Back with our other plot, Robin is doing everything to prevent Starfire from interfering with Raven. In the end, they all have gotten out of Raven's psyche and have become much closer as friends and decide to just have breakfast for dinner, which is beautiful. Episode 7, Switched. I realize now, I forgot to mention earlier that one trick of these episodes is that a way that they choose to give focus to specific members of the Titans is to shove the rest of them to the side. You saw that a little bit with the last episode where Robin and Starfire were definitely included in the plot by giving scenes where they promise we're not in the plot on purpose. But I will say this episode is among the more obvious about it. We start with our villain, the Puppet King, and his marionettes of the Teen Titans, and there's so many great little details about the marionettes. I especially love how the puppet Cyborg has bolts that are clearly too big for the scale, but are also clearly the only size bolts that the guy had when building these. And when you're making a miniature of something, sometimes you have to use things that are proportionally too big, but you have what you have. It's just a really nice detail that makes this feel authentic and like it's not a cartoon. I love it. At Titan's Tower, the Titans find a box outside their front door and assume it's from a fan and do no checks of it at all. Okay. They then find the marionettes and all fall in love with them. Later that night, the puppets absorb the spirits of the Titans they represent. This leaves their bodies to be controlled by the puppeteer. It's at this point that we finally get to see him, and him being a puppet was not what I was expecting. Starfire and Raven are the only ones who are not put into their puppet bodies, and there's a really good scene and a really good way of framing that unless you are paying really close attention, you won't be able to tell that they have now switched bodies. Now, doing this kind of story, especially in animation, leaves you with two possibilities on how to execute it. Possibility 1, the body keeps the voice actor, where the voice actors are giving impressions of the other actor's character. Or 2, the character keeps the voice actor, so the voice actor goes with the character to the new body.
Starfire? Raven?
I am slightly disappointed they went for the character keeping the voice actor. but at least the animators got a chance to animate each face with the opposite character actions. It is just so weird to see that level of stoicism on Starfire and that level of free emotion on Raven. Starfire's shock at seeing that any amount of emotion she exerts causes Raven's powers to erupt in strange ways. And this helps point to why Raven is so emotionally guarded. And then the real best part of this episode happens, where Raven and Starfire get a chance to learn more about each other and how each of their methods of, say, flying, for instance, work, and how they're different from each other. It's a very interesting way to make two characters have the same power, but have those powers be different from each other. Both of their powers are emotion-based. It's just radically different types of emotion. Raven's are where any emotion sets them off. Starfire's are where heightened, specific emotions cause her powers to work. Later, after getting used to each other's powers, Starfire and Raven go to a warehouse where the puppeteer is, and a battle breaks out. During the battle in the warehouse, Starfire finds it more easy to lower her emotions to control Raven's very sensitive powers, and Raven struggles to wholeheartedly use emotions to power Starfire's powers. Which makes sense. She has had to spend her life emotionally cutting herself off, and you can't just snap out of that on a whim. This episode does have a slight deus ex machina by defeating the villain and cracking the marionette handle, causing everyone to go back to their own bodies, but this one actually does feel right. Like, emotionally, yes, this makes sense. But what I really love is the little art detail of Raven and Starfire's souls passing each other, and they're intermingling as they go. It's honestly beautiful, but the ending of the episode is perfect, with Raven and Starfire meditating together. But then Raven responds by saying,
After this, would you like to go to the mall?
Seeing each of them choosing to do each other's thing they like really works and helps to show how much they have bonded. Aside from kind of the open question of how did the puppet master get to be alive while being a puppet, which I'm sure will be revealed at some point, right? Right? It's not revealed in this season. I genuinely don't know if it's revealed in the rest of the series. I forgot to check, and I'm filming now. But I'm sure I'll put something here if I find if they do explain it later, but I doubt it. I really doubt it. Anyway, aside from that, this was a really good episode. Episode 8, Deep 6, let's get this over with. I don't like this episode, so we'll just breeze by it. We have a great start by having the less serious Japanese theme, so yeah. This is clearly meant to be a comedy, but it's bad. Bad drama is comedy. Bad comedy is tedious. What's wrong? A few things. Starfire and Raven, for instance, are massively out of character, going gaga over character Aqualad from the comic book series. I pulled those books out, I'm gonna use them. But the real sin in this episode is Beast Boy. He is, again, massively out of character. And he is the one with all the focus. Nothing about his flaws that we have seen so far make what he does in this episode make sense. He is a character that works to take things less seriously. And here, he is upset someone else saved his friends and tried to take his thunder from him? I could see maybe him being skeptical of someone's motives, but that's it. And the entire episode is about his and Aqualad's rivalry.
I'm sure you're some kind of local hero, but I'm a real hero from the big city. So just let me call the shots.
At least I managed to break his weapon.
Dude, that's just wrong. I so broke that fork thing.
I just saw Trident.
No, you didn't. Yes, I did.
Cut it out!
The villain's defeat is about their rivalry. Everything is about this. Even the villain being Mr. Krabs does not save this story.
One of you must be better than the others.
I am the original. I am the best. You are not the original. I am.
It's just about how him having a big ego is bad. And yeah, we knew that, but that isn't Beast Boy's thing. What is this episode? I'm gonna do that again in case I peeked the microphone. And that isn't really Beast Boy's thing, so what is this? Episode 9, Masks. Finally, we get a Robin-focused episode. 9 episodes into a season with 13 episodes. Anyway, we start the episode mid-battle with Robin and the Titans protecting a chip from being stolen. The team then splits up, but we follow Robin as he pursues one of Slade's guards down the sewers. He goes to the end, and somehow at the end of the sewer, it opens up into a mountain. I would love to have been in that planning meeting. Hey boss, where did you want this sewer tunnel to go? With a door out the mountain. But where does the water go? And why do you need a door? Don't question me. Robin eventually stops the guard he's pursuing and tries to interrogate him, only to take off the guy's mask and realize it's a robot. And there's a video screen behind the mask with a call set up to Slade, who just taunts Robin saying,
"Excellent work, Robin. I think your skills are improving."
Back at Titan's Tower, you get a really good scene here, where in Robin's room, you see lots of villains that they have faced throughout the season, as you hear Slade's words repeated over and over throughout the scene.
"Excellent work, Robin. I think your skills are improving."
And all that's missing from this is red string connecting all the newspaper bits on the walls. But this gets at the emotional core at what Robin is feeling as he's going over all these documents. There's this beautiful contradiction in Robin wanting to keep Starfire safe by remarking how she nearly died today. Oh yeah, I skipped that part. It was right before Robin intercepted the guard. That fear is why he needs to cut Starfire out right now, so that he can focus on solving Slade. Robin, you just had to go for the easy psychological problems, didn't ya? Later, back with the previously protected chip, we see a new player named Red X show up, and he steals the card and is able to literally disappear into the air. The Titans, except Robin, he was investigating somewhere else, they go to battle this new villain. The battle does not go well. Red X knows exactly how to counter each of the Titans very efficiently, making it clear this is a very threatening villain. Red X is then able to get in contact with Slade and offers the chip in exchange for a cut into whatever Slade has planned.
"But an alliance cannot be forged from one small chip. I'll require more."
Just tell me what you want.
The next day at Titan's Tower, Robin regrets not being there, and the rest of the Titans assure him,
I guarantee he had a gadget with your name on it.
Agreed.
Later that evening, the rest of the Titans receive a message from Robin where he tells them he saw Red X in another part of the city and he has them come to join him. The Titans arrive and we see Robin versus Red X, and Red X immediately traps Robin in a net, and Robin tells them to go after Red X. Even with Red X knowing all of their weaknesses, the Titans have still learned how to combat him and are even able to use each other's powers to protect each other. But then something interesting happens. We see Red X save Beast Boy from getting run over by a subway train. In their post-theft call, Slade tells Red X to get yet another chip, and after the call ends, we see Red X take off his mask, and we see it's Robin. And this explains almost everything. How he was able to know each of the Titans' weaknesses to counter them. It also explains why he saved Beast Boy. It doesn't explain where he got all the cool new tools. Also, I will say, if you watch this back, Red X is still voiced by the guy who plays Robin, whose name I forgot to put in the script, and my phone is recording me so I don't have it, so I'll just put it here. And it's just that, with a voice filter over it. That's really nice. Later, when Robin is out doing Red X stuff, Starfire goes into Robin's room and accidentally activates the device that caused the hologram that he used to trick them into thinking he was there along with Red X. While Robin is stealing the last chip, Slade shows up and immediately calls him Robin.
"Can you, Robin?"
It's fascinating that Robin's plan just didn't work. I also respect him for not even trying to continue the lie once it's failed. The Titans then try to stop Red X before Starfire says it's Robin, much to their shock. Robin then unmasks the Red X mask, not his normal mask, to get them to go after Slade. Robin loses the rest of his Red X costume out of nowhere. Apparently that's just how it works. It just falls away. Robin then chases Slade across rooftops, and this is where something strange happens that is one of the few things I do not like about this episode. Why doesn't Robin use more of the Red X stuff? Like, that stuff was crazy powerful, and all he has now is batarangs. I don't get why he can't use them anymore, but this feels disappointing. Like, why can't he use the cool powers now? I sort of get it. It's overpowered and they felt they could get away with it because at first it looks like it's another villain, but you told us that was Robin. He should have that cool tech still. Where is it? Robin then gets into a fight one-on-one with Slade, and at one point, Robin is about to fall when Slade saves him, much to the genuine shock of Robin and me.
I'm not through with you.
Robin then punches Slade so hard that the chips fly out of Slade's hand and Slade's mask falls, only for Robin to realize it's yet another robot. And another video screen showing to another Slade where he says,
We'll meet face to face some other time.
And then the robot blows up. Back at the tower, we see Robin back in his room, looking at the newspapers and documents again, with the Slade mask that he got on the wall. Starfire enters and Robin asks,
You want to yell at me too? Everyone else has.
And deservedly so. I am genuinely in two minds about whether or not they should have shown the rest of the Titans yelling at Robin. I don't know what it would have added to the story, but I do think the melancholy that you do feel in this scene does work, but you might have felt it more with the yelling. Anyway, the important thing is, at least Robin doesn't try to wiggle out of people being angry at him. He completely understands why they are furious. Starfire's there because she wants to understand. Robin's explanation does make sense for him.
I needed to fool Slade. If you guys knew it was me under that mask, you would have held back.
This is the stuff that makes this version of Robin who he is. He's a tactician who thinks with a goal in mind, and Starfire points out that him and Slade are more similar than you would think, and you can tell that hurts him a little, but he's also trying to see if he can use that to try and understand Slade better, because again, he's focused purely on taking down Slade. Episode 10, Detention, or The Mad Mod. The next episode has 2 titles, and I can't find why these 2 titles exist, but the main spot where the Detention title exists is on the DVD, and the Mad Mod title exists on IMDb and in the episode itself. I tried to search for why this happened, but no one seems to know. Please help me out if you can. So yeah, anyway, as you can see here, it says Detention. And here it's called Mad Mod. Okay, while we're here taking a look at the menu, I just wanted to say, this shot of Raven is weird. Like, I've never seen her in the show look this happy. Like, I might have just missed it, but honestly, the only time I've seen her smile is in the episode Nevermore, and even then, it's just Happy Raven, or real Raven reflecting Happy Raven inside her head. But there's no reason for this. Where did this shot come from? Was this drawn specifically for the DVD menu? This is so baffling. This goes completely against Raven's personality. Like, even with her leaping up in the air like, yay, we did it. Anyway, back to the video. In my prep, I decided to look up the actual original source for this character because I remember seeing some stuff about how this is one of the more goofy characters that doesn't really fit in. Wait, was it this one? No, it was the other one. And I should have bookmarked this. Now, to tell you just how 60s this character is, I need to tell you that this character was unironically on the first page of this comic referred to as none other but the grooviest, swingiest villain who the fabulous Teen Titans have faced yet. The blithering bloke they call the Mad Mod Merchant of Menace. Cool Shakespeare reference, I guess. And I will also say, in the episode he has superpowers, but in the comic, he's just a tailor and a thief. I don't mind this change, though. This is a great upgrade for him and is much more appropriate to the title, The Blithering Bloke They Call the Mad Mod Merchant of Menace. Sure, the merchant part doesn't fit, but who cares? The episode starts with all the Titans together, and they all go off to their own rooms, and we follow Robin as he goes through a very surreal and groovy setting, and he goes around and gathers up the Titans, and they all end up in a great Scooby-Doo homage and a 60s Batman homage before they slightly break the episode's own consistency by having Robin find the edge of the world, and then they find the real Mad Mod, revealing that they are just in a singular room with screens around them. Generally, I'm very forgiving of weird physics and stuff like the concept of virtual reality. But this seems to just be a room where the screens convince you that physics is different and that you're in different rooms and can't hear each other. This ending is frustrating. The rest of the episode's fun, though. Episode 11, Car Trouble. And now a fun fluff episode about Cyborg. This feels more about Cyborg's character than the sum of his parts did. From the opening episode, you see a car being assembled, and I could have guessed this was Cyborg's car long before I saw that Cyborg trim on it. I don't know why, but if you ask me which Titan was a car person, Cyborg fits the best. I love the effort put into this car, but that is the most 2000s looking car. That's just made to look futuristic by slapping a sci-fi wrapper around it. That is amazing. I genuinely, when I was watching this episode, I saw that car and I just burst out laughing. It's so adorable to think this is a souped up car. This episode is about Cyborg's efforts to find his car after it's stolen after they stop a bad guy. It's actually stolen by several groups who all steal it from each other before eventually being stolen by Gizmo in his second appearance on the show. And Gizmo uses this car to rob a bank. It's just perfect comedic irony. Cyborg is eventually joined by Raven, who reveals the other Titans went to different parts of the city to try and find the car. And they are all now not appearing in the rest of the episode. Seriously. I told you, sometimes it gets really obvious. This is really obvious. They don't even have Robin doing a, we're definitely in the episode scenes. Like, that's not in here. But Cyborg and Raven's conversation is nice. It provides a great bonding moment for them as she seeks understanding with Cyborg and points out that what it means for him to have put so much of himself into a car. And she relates to that because she does similar things with her spells, putting a small piece of herself into each of them, which makes sense if any emotion you do sets them off. That is a piece of you going into every single one of them. They're then able to find the car again, and Gizmo has made the car self-driving by just strapping a video game console to the steering wheel and calling it a day. You could get away with this in 2003. Nowadays, we have more of an idea of how self-driving cars work, and I'm speechless. Yeah, just strap a video game controller to it. That does it. Yeah. Cool. Cyborg and Raven then chase Gizmo using a car they acquired from the original thieves of Cyborg's car. The chase is stopped as Cyborg's car crashes into a prison transport vehicle, and the villain from the beginning of the episode, who is a electricity tech-based villain named Overload, takes over Cyborg's car in the most literal way possible. Overload says, "The only way to stop me is destroying your car." It's a perfect threat. But Cyborg does destroy it, saying, "It's not my car anymore." it has been stolen, used for thievery and all this, so yeah, it's not his car. They end with another montage that I feel like is just recycled shots from the beginning of the episode. I'm sure I'll figure that out when I'm editing this video. But I don't actually mind that. He is recreating the exact same car again, which honestly is good, but I also really like Raven helping him. It's just perfect. I'm just trying to imagine Cyborg at the end. Man, I need to show this to the rest of the Titans. Crap, they're still looking for the old car. I need to call them! Oh, also, just for extra fun notes, on IMDb, and I'm thinking release order, this was the last episode of the season. I'm serious. Like, it's not a bad episode. I enjoy it. But, yeah, I would hate for this to be the season finale. But again, that's part of why I chose to go with DVD order. Episode 12, Apprentice. We start with Robin chasing Slade in a desert with columns of dirt and a purple sky. The music here is excellent. Robin and Slade are equally matched in skill and ruthlessness. I would say Slade has the slight edge just by being slightly bigger and slightly faster. But even with him dodging Robin so effectively, Robin does not give Slade a single inch. Slade points out that,
and all you care about, you destroy.
And we see that the big columns Robin knocks down are statues representing the other members of the Titans. And we get our Star Wars Episode 5 moment where the unmasked Slade is Robin. And then Robin wakes up. It's a perfect cold open to the episode. Except that's not actually the complete cold open. Cyborg comes into Robin's room saying,
It's Slade.
Then we cut to credits. I really like this. It proves Robin's paranoia by setting up the rest of the episode to show, yes, Slade is after you. But it also showcases Robin's fears about this really effectively. After the theme song, we find Slade is making a video call to the Titans. Slade says he's bored of waiting for Robin to figure out his plans, so he'll just reveal them. This is a really interesting characterization of Slade. He's someone who enjoys the game and enjoys the mystery of someone trying to actively figure him out, but is clearly disappointed that Robin failed to do so. Slade reveals that he has a device that, if he uses it, will stop time in a large portion of the city. He does this by showing them the weapon in its current location. Cyborg and Beast Boy try and stop Robin from joining them going after Slade. They claim that Robin is so dead set on this that he's more of a liability, which is absolutely correct. Raven is the one who's able to figure out where it is based on stuff she finds in the video. They then go and find the device is gone, which to me says Slade intended them to find it, and then Slade's guards come out and attack. I will say, it has been a while since we got a big battle with all 5 Titans, so this should be good. Oh! Robin's obsession hits again, and he just takes everyone out before any of the others have a chance to land a single blow. I think the closest anyone comes is Beast Boy, but even then, it's all Robin. When I was first watching this as part of the review, I thought this is a perfect demonstration of a Robin who is more obviously the son of Batman. I know there's a real son of Batman, ignore that. But with this battle, and the way it ended, it seems more likely to me that this is not actually a son of Batman. This is someone who's trying to live up to the standard of Batman. Robin has spent so much time focusing on trying to get Slade, and Slade so obviously played him, and was able to demonstrate easily that he can manipulate Robin and get him to go where Slade wants, and Robin does not know how to handle it. This is made clearer by Robin just stopping a random dock worker, assuming that because he's there, he must know something about Slade. I really thought about putting in a cop joke right here, but just hopefully this note covers that. Beast Boy then gets at the crux of the issue and is able to point out Robin's flaw right to him.
You know, just because we're trying to catch Slade doesn't mean you have to act like him.
This really gets to Robin, and understandably so, because that is exactly what he's doing. It's what Robin fears. That was the whole point of the opening scene. Robin is focused entirely on results, not methods. He assumes that just because Slade is trying to destroy the city, and Robin is trying to stop the destruction of the city, that makes them different. It's how he justifies it to himself.
He's trying to destroy the city. I'm trying to save it.
But pointing out that the method you do matters gets to him. The Titans manage to track down where the weapon is, and Robin tries to apologize, but only when they're almost at their destination, which is really good characterization. It adds to his obsessive nature by him being unwilling to acknowledge it, and right away when he does, Slade's goons attack. One of these people is Cinderblock, which fun to see him again, glad to see Slade kept him around. Robin faces Cinderblock one-on-one, leaving the other Titans to go after the weapon, and Robin's comment to Cinderblock of,
"Only fair to warn you, you caught me on a bad day,"
is fascinating. It shows his awareness of his own problem, but here he's sort of using his flaw to go harder on this villain. And the fight demonstrates this, because you see Robin just absolutely losing it on this guy. And you see Robin get about 4 punches in without a single response from Cinderblock. And after Cinderblock is knocked out, Robin finds a GPS in his hand, one that he hopes would lead him to Slade. And he just abandons the rest of the Titans to do this. And once again, Slade is one step ahead.
Welcome. I've been expecting you for some time.
He knew Cinderblock would lose. In fact, he assumed it would be easier for Robin than what it was shown to be. This is top-tier villain behavior. When I was thinking back on this show and prepping this video, I couldn't have told you any of this stuff about Slade and his top-tier villainy before I rewatched it, but what I could tell you is the presence and strength of the image of Slade that was just whispers of him genuinely set fear as a kid, and it's because of this kind of groundwork that was done. He's such a good villain. But then the belief I said at the beginning of the episode shows Slade just barely has the edge over Robin. He taunts Robin in a really interesting way. Like he remarks of Robin,
"Good, but not perfect."
It's a deviation from what we have seen, and it feels like the actions he's taking now are closer to what his real goals are, because it's obviously not going to be that other machine. There's something else going on, and it's obvious, especially in moments like this. Even if you can't tell what his actual plans are. There's this slow electric guitar theme. It's particularly excellent. Robin finally gets hold of the trigger for the weapon, and it instantly destroys itself. Slade says there is no trigger, because there's no weapon. This has all been a ruse, which honestly makes sense, because him freezing everything in time, it's big, it's scary, but it somehow didn't feel right for what Slade was doing. And the rest of the Titans who have found the weapon start to try and disarm it, but it just destroys itself. It falls apart. And then a laser pops up from the ship and knocks everyone off. We then get shots of everyone's bloodstreams, and we see nanites. Robin assumes that it's a threat against his friends, forcing them to do things that he knows they wouldn't do even under threat. There's nothing that they would obey Slade for. But then Slade says something different.
This isn't about your friends, Robin. It's about you. It's always been about you.
This is about Slade getting an apprentice. Robin starts to say he won't do it, but then Slade threatens to use the nanites and kill all of his friends. What choice does Robin have? Slade doesn't even give Robin the opportunity to say anything to the rest of the Titans. At all. Robin has to cut them off immediately. Also, just a quick side note. This series, for some reason, was not allowed to say kill or die. So instead they say destroy.
I will annihilate them, Robin.
But honestly, you barely notice it. Because the threat Slade uses works with the word destroy, based purely on the conviction of the performance. We end the episode by seeing Robin wear a Slade outfit. What I really love about this outfit is it's not a half-baked gimmick or anything. It's an actual pretty well thought out costume that is still clearly based off of Slade. With the addition of the Slade logo on it, it's the sign of ownership that it is. And Robin doesn't say a single word in this, and yet his anger at the situation is palpable. It radiates off of the screen. And Slade acknowledges that Robin might not like it now.
But trust me, you'll learn to like it.
Episode 13, Apprentice Part 2. We get shots over a New York City looking cityscape as we hear about the aftermath of the last episode.
Robin! Please, Robin, where are you?
If he's gonna pick up, he'd have done it by now.
I like that they follow up on the set pieces from the last episode. Like how Cyborg looks at the battle with Cinderblock, but can't tell who won because Cinderblock is gone. He's actually not in this episode, so whatever. They are able to figure out enough to know that the weapon didn't break. It was a decoy to something separate from them, and they all fell for it. And they also realize that this wasn't Slade's plan, but they don't know what his plan was. While talking about this, they're interrupted by an alert of something happening in the city, and we see that Slade's new apprentice is on his first mission. And we see Robin stealing a weapon, and what I really like about this is, it reminds you so much of the last time Robin worked for Slade, and that time was on Robin's terms, because he was trying to get close to Slade to stop his plans. But now he's doing it under the threat of the death of his friends, and it feels so much emptier than before. Because before, it had a purpose as a means to help his friends, but here it's done purely out of survival. And it feels so much more hopeless as a result. And once again, Robin has to go against the Titans. And when they see him, they are rightfully horrified at this. Robin follows Slade's orders and doesn't speak to the Titans. He just attacks them. He does try and do his best by them and focuses on destroying a bridge between them so they can't follow him. Back at Slade's lair, Robin threatens the second Slade slips and gives him an opportunity. He will get the device from him and stop all of this. Slade gets under Robin's skin by saying,
"We really do think alike."
And Robin attacks him. After the fight settles, Slade says, "I know you enjoyed stealing. I was monitoring your vitals." And I can see that being true. I can see there being an inherent thrill to the idea of breaking the law and getting into a mission. We've already seen Robin do that of his own accord, so it makes sense psychologically he would fall back on that to try and get through this thing that he does not want to do. Also, I think he does just enjoy doing missions, even if they are for Slade, as much as he doesn't want to do it for Slade. Slade then takes the weapon Robin stole and installs it on Robin's suit.
I might even become like a father to you.
I already have a father.
Back at Titan's tower, Everyone theorizes over what happened with Robin. Raven and Cyborg are able to confirm that it was actually Robin, and he wasn't being mind-controlled. Starfire refuses to believe this. Her passion for her friend and crush is excellent. Later, we see Robin stealing something from a giant PCB room. Love the room, great styling, A+ to the architect and designer there. The Titans then show up to try and stop him, and if you look at the side of the roof, you can just barely see that this is Wayne Enterprises. And throughout the scene, it sort of shifts to hide that fact a little. I'm guessing there was some legal trouble with actually showing it. The Titans then battle, and Cyborg hesitates to use his sonic cannon. In fact, everyone hesitates to attack. But then Robin is forced, by Slade again, to not hold back. Starfire, who has held out of the battle as long as possible, tries to appeal to Robin, and Robin is told by Slade to use the weapon he stole earlier against Starfire. She then puts Robin in a moral quandary by disarming herself and saying,
Do what you must.
and Robin falters, to which Slade becomes enraged, and he activates the nanites. We see everyone being attacked, and it looks painful. When I was a kid, I thought this was it. I thought once he activates them, it's over. He did it! But he can turn it off, thankfully. So Robin uses the weapon, and Slade turns off the nanites, and then says the most sinister thing he could.
That's my boy.
Raven then thankfully destroys Robin's new weapon, and Robin flees. Starfire is the one who is able to figure out Slade might be the one behind them all feeling that pain. We then see Slade enjoying the footage of Robin battling the Titans.
My apprentice is progressing even faster than I had hoped.
Robin then tries to punch Slade right in the face. And it's fascinating that every time Robin rebels, Slade is able to manipulate Robin by saying that
You're becoming more like me every second.
it's a one-trick pony, but that pony wins the state fair every year for a reason. It's an effective pony. Back at Titan's Tower, Cyborg is able to find the nanites, and they figure out exactly what has happened with Robin. Back in the battle between Slade and Robin, Robin manages to crack Slade's mask, and this is the first thing to have truly made Slade angry. Slade then says another interesting thing.
The first thing you need to learn is gratitude. I made you my apprentice, but the only thing you care about is your worthless little friends!
And it's on this line that for the first time in the entire series, Slade raises his voice. It's fascinating that Slade is angry, that it's only the threat of violence against Robin's friends that forces Robin to work for Slade. He knows this works, but he doesn't want this to be the technique that works. Slade then says,
If the Titans are so distracting, maybe I should just get rid of them.
Robin says, no, I'll do whatever you say. And that's when the Titans show up. And the Titans say,
We know.
And we don't care.
We are your friends, Robin.
this is real powerful friendship stuff. I love it. Slade then activates the nanites in all of them. Robin then does something crazy. He finds the thing that generated the nanites and puts the nanites in himself so that if Slade kills the Titans, he also kills Robin. It's an excellent if risky move. If I gambled, I would not want to bet against this man. He's crazy. Slade then deactivates the nanites and removes the control device from his person. Everyone then attacks him, throwing everything they have at him, and it is beautiful. But then Robin is able to knock off the black half of Slade's mask, and Slade goes to run away and destroys the base at the same time, escaping using teleport technology. Cyborg then steals the nanite device, and everyone gets away. Back at Titan's Tower, Cyborg gets all of the nanites out of all of them using that device. Robin looks so happy to be back in his uniform. This is happy enough that even Raven says we should celebrate.
Shouldn't we celebrate?
Robin and Starfire then sit down together, and Starfire apologizes, much to my and Robin's shock. It turns out She's sorry that there was a moment where she thought Robin was like Slade, and that he had actually turned on them. And Robin is finally able to admit,
I doubted myself, Star. As much as I hate to admit it, he and I are kind of alike.
but the difference is
He doesn't have any friends.
this answer causes Starfire's joy. This season is great. I knew that as a kid, but I'm so happy that so much of this holds up as well as it does. And in some ways, it stood up better than I expected. Part of me did think this would be good, but not great. And there's so much great hidden. Everyone is so well fleshed out. I really enjoyed this. Especially things like that 2-part finale. It's just fantastic. It was hard to trim bits of my notes from that just because I could ramble about how much I love Slade and Robin's dynamics in that probably for hours. And like I said, I only remembered the emotion and the fear Slade left, but I forgot just how genuinely scary he was. This also showed an excellent way of having fleshed out heroes and having villains be pretty decent by using the season to have individual episodes focus on individual heroes, which let the villains and those heroes they're focusing on have more breathing room. All in all, this is an excellent season. Yeah, this is really good stuff. I enjoyed it. And TV show Stare. What did I say? We start the episode mid-battle with Robin and the Titans Anyway, we start this episode mid-battle with Robin and the Titans perfecting. Why am I saying perfecting? It's protecting. But only when they're almost there. Which really adds to his No. Oh no. How is it that I can record the entirety for 3 hours on the Code Lyoko video, and I'm not even at 2 hours, and my laptop tells me it's dying. Also, I have the new Teen Titans Omnibuses 1 through 5, and when I Google it, Omnibus 6 exists, but I can't find anything on why it hasn't come out in like 4 years. If anyone knows why, please tell me. I'm so shocked. How do you get to commissioning a cover, a page count, an issue listing, and not publish the... Anyway,